Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be having a look at a new Crabominable card. And look, this is not the first time I've got excited about a Crabominable card. But I think this might be the most worthwhile time I've gotten excited about a Crabominable card. It's coming out in Unbroken Bonds in May, and it has been translated by the lovely David Hochmann over at rappelmantcg.com/translations. So what does it actually do? Well, if we start off with the basics, 140 HP for a stage 1 is kind of massive. That's higher than some stage 2s. We literally looked at Gengar earlier, or yesterday, or depending, or we will soon. I'm not entirely sure what order these are getting uploaded in, but there's a Gengar in this set that only has 130, and that's a stage 2. And it's got a retreat cost of 4, so that means you can use buff padding here to actually put yourself up to 190 HP. 190 HP is gigantic, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely gigantic. Weakness to Psychic, not ideal, but Psychic decks have kind of fallen off a little bit lately. Garbodor and the like aren't seeing a huge amount of play, so it's not really a bad weakness to have. And when you combine 140 HP with buff padding and a pretty good weakness, we got a bit of a tank on our hands. Now, I should mention it's a fighting Pokemon. That means you've got Diancie Prism Star to do a little bit of extra damage. It means you've got Brooklet Hill to search out your basics. It means you're hitting weakness against Pikachu and Zekrom and Zoroark, who are frankly two of the very best Pokemon around at the moment. There is an awful lot to like about Crabominable. But mostly it's the first attack, Fight Alone. Double colorless energy, 30 damage, not good. If you have fewer Pokemon in play than your opponent, this attack does 50 more damage for each Pokemon fewer that you have in play. Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, this really could add up very, very quickly. So let's say, for argument's sake, you've just got one Crabominable in play. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to need to caution you at this stage. Because Crabominable might be a bit of a tank, but it's still a stage 1 non-GX. If it gets KO'd and you've got no bench, you lose the game. So if you want to go with the I'm just playing Crabominable, fine. But please do bear in mind that actually this could backfire. This could go a little bit wrong. There is every possibility your opponent's just like, boom, KO, yay, I win the game. So let's say you've got 2 in play. Well, if your opponent's got 3, then that's 1 Pokemon fewer, you're hitting 80 damage. And 80 damage is fine. And to be honest, 80 for a double colorless energy is pretty good. That's alright. But 2 Pokemon fewer, you're up to 130. That's a Granbull, that's a non-GX Buzzwole. That's a lot of the most relevant non-GXs. Then, if you've got 3 fewer Pokemon in play, you're up to 180. 180 is a one-hit KO on Rayquaza, and it's a one-hit KO on Blacephalon, and with a Choice Band, it's a one-hit KO on stuff like Lycanroc. There's a lot good going on here. And, of course, we're talking about a fighting Pokemon. So, actually, to get a one-hit KO on Pikachu and Zekrom, you can do this with 1 Pokemon fewer in play. Because I'm giving you the numbers generally, but let's say you've got 1 fewer Pokemon in play, you're hitting 80. Then you add a Choice Band and you're up to 110. Then you add a Diancie Prism Star, you're up to 130. Double with weaknesses, 260. You can even add a Shrine of Punishment in here, be doing 270. And that's a one-hit KO on an Eevee and Snorlax. And this is for a single energy on a non-GX with 1 fewer Pokemon in play than your opponent. That's a little bit nuts. If you're hitting for weakness, and a lot of the time the best use for this is if you are hitting for weakness, this is phenomenal. And the thing I need to remind you of here, this is 2 colorless energy. So any deck playing double colorless energy can do this in 1 energy. But any deck can just whack a couple energy on and use this. This is a genuine, legitimate counter for Pikachu and Zekrom, and it's a stage 1 Pokemon for a single energy attachment. Now, If you're not rocking Diancie Prism Star, then you can still get a one-hit KO on Zoroark with a Choice Band and one Pokemon fewer in play. With Pikachu and Zekrom, you either need two Pokemon fewer, or you need to have Diancie Prism Star. And I think when you start getting Crabominable and Diancie Prism Star, you start getting slightly away from tech territory here, because then that's two bench spaces, and if you're playing a 1-1 line, you're only playing one Diancie, so that's three Pokemon, and if one of them's prized, then you start getting into a bit of an awkward territory here. I totally get this, but look, a non-GX getting a KO on a Tag Team GX for a single energy attachment, if that was easy, it would break the game. There's got to be a little bit of challenge here. It's got to be not the easiest thing to pull off. But then again, it is absolutely possible. And we saw this with Lucario. Lucario had Fight Alone, and Lucario was a stage 1. And Lucario did more damage based on the Pokemon fewer than your opponent that you've got into play. In fact, it was actually better because it was a 30 base with 60 more for each Pokemon fewer. So why do I like this so much better than Lucario? There's two reasons. Number one, single energy attachment. Number two, way better weakness you're hitting. And this is very important, 30 more HP and a chance of using buff padding. Remember, if you're using buff padding, you're not using Choice Band, so you're going to have to make the decision as to which one is the better card at that particular moment. If you just want to sit there and two-hit KO, one Pokemon fewer and a Diancie Prism Star is 100 damage for a double colorless energy. If you just want to sit there and two-hit KO, and I should remember Trying to Punishment works here nicely as well, then maybe just using buff padding to give you a little bit of extra bulk is kind of the way to go here. If you're trying to get big, massive one-hit KOs, then Choice Band is where you're going. The other card which we've got to mention here, which is absolutely over-the-top relevant, Giovanni's Banishment. Or at least, that's how David translated it. Somebody else translated it, I know, as Giovanni's Exile. But, come on, they're synonyms. It's a different language. It'll be fine. Banishment's way cooler, though. This discards two bench Pokemon without damage counters on them. That's a little bit great at this point. That's, like, really, really good. Because now you just get to discard two of your bench Pokemon. Now, in a deck like this, this is huge. Because as long as you've got the double colorless energy and the Crabominable out, you've got free bench Pokemon, your opponent's got free bench Pokemon. You drop Giovanni, all of a sudden, you've got two fewer Pokemon than your opponent, and you're not hitting 30, you're hitting 130. And look, when it comes down to this attack, here is the worst case scenario. Your opponent goes, ha 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 ha, I'm not going to bench Pokemon that I'd rather bench, just so you don't do more damage. Now, if you're only playing Crabominable, that could go wrong, but if you're playing any other Pokemon, just use your other Pokemon and be like, ha. Because decks like Malamar and Naganadel, both of which are still seeing a lot of play, they can't really not have bench Pokemon because they need the Malamar and Naganadel to get the energy onto the field. And that's why this is so good. Although I do have to warn you, we have quad decks at the moment, like Quad Boswell and Pheromosa, which might be the best deck in Japan, and they only play 4 Pokemon, and they will usually have kind of 2, maybe 3 Pokemon on the field at once. This will not be great against them. I will concede that. Now, there is another attack here, but it's barely worth mentioning. The first one is the one to go for. It's Fighting Double Colorless, 80 damage. And look, with a Choice Band, you get a one-hit KO on Zoroark. With a Choice Band Diancie Prism Star, you get a one-hit KO on Pikachu and Zekrom. With a Choice Band Diancie Prism Star Shrine of Punishment, you get a one-hit KO on Eevee and Snorlax. So you can still get the KOs here, but now you're talking 2 energy attachments, one of which is a double colorless, and it starts getting super, super awkward. Fine if you're playing fighting energy, you've got the double colorless on, you whack it on and you go. Nice as a little emergency second attack if you can't get fewer Pokemon in play than your opponent, but it's the equivalent of just having 1 fewer Pokemon in play. If you've got 1 fewer Pokemon, both these attacks do the same. After that, the first one's significantly better. It's fine as far as attacks go, but it's not one that's going to particularly fill me with any kind of excitement. No, ladies and gentlemen, Crabominable is here to fight alone, and it is fight alone we're worried about. I'm going to be giving this between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. Honestly, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if you're always going to be able to have fewer Pokemon in play than your opponent, but I do know you can do a lot of damage for a double colorless energy, and it's hitting the best weakness in the game right now, and I know that that is absolutely worth having a play around with. People are going to test this, and I'm going to be one of them. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I would very much like to know if you are going to be one of them. So please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! But please do remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about other games that don't have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.